you realize at a certain point, whether it's basic training or if you do go to combat. For me, I realized after basic training, it clicked in my head, you know what, I can go. And what I'm doing in the Army as an MP with the title of Combat MP, you can go into combat. I mean, I volunteered to go to places, but I think because of the MOS and what my job was at the time, they didn't send me, which is okay, but I volunteered. So I sat down and wrote a letter to my parents and said, wrote stuff down, and I sent it home. I realized after basic that, yeah, I could go somewhere. I didn't have a choice. If there was a conflict, I could go into that conflict and not come back. I'm a 65-year-old veteran. I served 10 and a half years Army, Combat MP, about 5 years Air Force Reserve. My MOS was 95 Bravo / Charlie, MP Corrections, and Combat MP, meaning we were trained for combat. I was 19 years old, going to college. I was failing every subject. It was 2 weeks before the first semester was over. Just hanging with my buddies, cheating at Old Maid. After everybody left, I was just sitting there thinking, there's got to be more than what I'm doing right now. So I basically got up off the chair, took public transportation down to the recruiting center, which was in the post office at the city of Poughkeepsie. Walked in the Marine recruiting office, nobody was there. Walked out of the Marine recruiting office, walked in the Army recruiting office, joined the Army. Went home that night, told my parents at dinner that I report 11 December 73. Combat MP means you're in the field about 30 days every other month. You train to go into combat. You learn about camouflage, you learn about ambushes, convoys, how to attack an installation, how to provide security. It's the whole gamut. At one point we did a combat operation which was a 96-hour operation. We started out getting in an aircraft, C-140, which is the jet side of the C-130 prop job, and one of our duties when we were stationed at Fort Dix was to provide security for Fort Drum, upstate New York. We went up. As we were flying up, of course you're cramped in an aircraft with your equipment in front of your Jeeps with all the equipment, because we were self-contained, meaning we took everything with us. The weather report they kept telling us was it's sunny, beautiful day, the plane lands, the door opens in the back, thunder, lightning, rain. We come running out of the aircraft, soaking wet, and then the operation started, which means for 96 hours, little or no sleep wherever you catch it. Laying in a field, rocks, standing up. I actually slept standing up, and then we convoyed back to Fort Dix. Combat mission teaches you discipline, teaches you how to react in a crisis, give orders. There's no asking, you tell. It's a set of guys that come together in a crisis situation and know what each man knows what they're going to do. So you don't have to ask him, you don't have to worry about whether they're going to do it. You already know they're going to do it. When you do that long enough, when you're with people that long enough time, you get to know people very well, what they're capable or not capable of doing. And if you're not capable of doing it, you don't last very long in the military. Family is important, and one of the reasons family is important is because you're away from them for such a long period of time. Because you're serving your country, so you don't have the freedom to leave and go on vacation. There is none. You miss birthdays, you miss births, you miss deaths. So for basically 12 years out of the 15, I missed most family activities. So getting out, you want to be around family. You want to take care of family because you know what the result can be in the military. You can go into combat and not come back, or come back injured to a point where somebody needs to take care of you, because your family goes through the same thing, the separation. Because you can be called up to go somewhere, even if you're not in combat. If they want to do training, you have no choice. They tell you tomorrow, be here at 6 a.m., we're going to the field. We were 6 days when I was at Luke Air Force Base. From what we were told, if the first Gulf had gone 6 more days, we were the next unit to go. but we didn't go. So. When you get out, your time is important to you. It's key. Your time is important. I want to spend time with my family, with my grandchildren, because I know there was always a possibility I'm not here. So I was at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Like I said, they're supposed to send me to PLC. I have 7 years in time and grade. My attitude is I'm pretty much done. So I got out. I was out for a year or two, and then I thought, well, maybe I should go back into reserves to see about maybe getting my 20. And I just decided, okay, I was in Kansas City at the time because I got out of Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And I thought, well, I'll go reserve. So I went Air Force Reserve, and that's when I went to school. They sent me to Lowry Air Force Base in Colorado. And then I moved to Arizona because my parents had been out here. My immediate family moved out here. So when I moved out here, I transferred to Luke Air Force Base. And that's when I learned how to put stuff on the F-16. And I did total about 5 years Air Force Reserve. But then, again, I said, you know what, I'm done. So I got out, stopped. When you get short, you become a short timer. So after that 100 days, when you've made that final decision to get out of the Army, you're not going to re-enlist again. You're now a 2-digit midget. So then you celebrate. 12 August 84 is when my discharge date was. I got my physical at the hospital at Fort Leavenworth. The doc comes out and says, well, here's a pair of glasses, you need glasses. He says, you have a hearing loss, you have flat feet, here's your 214, see you. That was my transition. Good luck finding a job, doing whatever you want to do now. The training that you had is not going to transition into civilian world, because civilian world doesn't teach you how to fire an M16 or a 45 or M203 grenade launcher. So now you have to step into the civilian world after what you know in the military and try and go get a job. Well, I didn't go for a job that needed any qualifications, I'll tell you that, because my qualifications did not satisfy what any other job. I mean, I couldn't go work in an office in a suit because I didn't own any. I either had fatigues or jeans and a shirt. That was my wardrobe when I got out of the military. Well, I guess I had experience in management because I told people what to do. I was a squad leader, platoon sergeant, but that's telling people what to do. There is no asking, well, I'll do this. No, you tell them you're going to do this. You either get your over there or I'm going to put you over there. My motivation in the Army, I was a sergeant, I pushed troops. I didn't have any college. The reason I went into the military, because I hated school. So I had no experience anywhere. So the only job I could get was either warehouse or driving, because I did drive in the military. Now I drive a cab. It's a good job, I love it. I love driving a cab. You're dealing with people who are on the margin, who are on the edges. I think everybody needs to hear, wants to talk, wants people to listen to what they have to say. The people who get in my cab usually are struggling with something. They have a crisis in their life. So I hope that I am a little stabilizing. They can get in, they get a peaceful ride. I hear what they have to say, maybe build a friendship. There are some people that have gotten in my cab that I've gotten to know that I pick up on a regular basis. They know they get a safe ride. We have great conversation. The guy I took today is a regular. He knows I'm dependable. He knows I'm going to show up. You know, what Jesus did on the face of the earth, we're supposed to serve. My military experience, you serve. You're serving somebody. You're serving something. Faith is everything. My faith drives me to do these things because Scripture says to do that. And because in the military, you're put in leadership positions to go forward, to be out front. It's just natural to want to lead, to want to go out, to want to do. And you're doing something ahead of someone. You're leading troops. As a squad leader, I was in charge of 8 guys. So that was ingrained to me. I have to step out front. A lot of people have a lot of needs. You know, we're given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I want to hear what you have to say. You know, I can ask 1 or 2 questions and probably get their whole history. And if it's a regular customer, well, there might be something I can do for them, especially a veteran. I'll give them a free ride if they need it. So if I get a veteran, then I'll stick with them. I'll give my card. I don't give my card to everybody, but I'll give my card to them and say, hey, you need a ride? Because some of them do go to the VA, and they're paying out of their pocket. Well, there's 22 veterans who commit suicide. That's the average. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. You know, when I first came back, the military just put you out, basically. They didn't know how to deal with serious traumatic brain injury. There wasn't a lot of research on it from the military side. All they would do is give veterans drugs. They would hand you a drug and hand you another drug, and this would do this and do this. And from what I've read, the combination of drugs caused issues because of the side effects. It wasn't because of the PTSD. It was because of the medication they were given. A lot of them couldn't handle the medication, and their reaction to the medication, suicide, because they couldn't handle it. That's sad. And the system, the VA is overwhelmed. What is there now? I don't know what the figure is now, but I think there's 16 million veterans in the United States now. Most of the homeless veterans are probably Vietnam vets because they received no help. Again, you were put out of the military. That's how, like I was, that's how they were put out from coming back from Vietnam. Then being called names and all the protests, so there was no real help from Vietnam, so you have to deal with that. Internally, you have no way to bring that out. Some things have changed with Iraq and Afghanistan, but you still have 22 vets that are taking their lives every day. So I was sitting at McDonald's, I'm eating breakfast, and a young man walks up, and I'm wearing my hat, of course, because I always wear my hat. He goes, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I'm thinking about joining the Marines." I said, "Okay, I think I'd rather talk about the Army." But so I said, "Yeah, sit down." So we got talking, and he told me what he wanted to do, and again, it opens the door. It opens the door. I talked to the same McDonald's. I talked to a World War II veteran who was going to turn 100. He was wearing something that I saw. He saw what I saw. Started a conversation. My passion with veterans is to bring veterans together just to have a conversation, just a camaraderie. You can have a conversation with another veteran because you've experienced the same thing. And we can talk about certain things that we've done or didn't do and relate. You know, like I met a guy at a car wash. He was washing his car. I saw him. He had his hat on. He came over, we shook hands, and we started talking. He said, "I saw the hat, I had to come over." Got to talk to him. He's a brother. So my passion is trying to get veterans to come together and tell their story so their family knows, oh, this is what he went through. This is what he saw. This is what he didn't see. And that's one of the issues I think it's important to talk about, to get it out. Yeah, I was this. And that's as far as it goes. They'll tell it to another veteran. They may not tell it to a civilian. But my passion is to reach them so that their families can share what they went through, because I think it's important. We already know what happens when you keep stuff inside. There's 22 a day that die because they can't get it out. And there are some other people that are doing something like this. Veterans having conversations, sharing. Why not me?